Hello students, how are you? Today in this video lecture I will tell you about certain important things regarding the chapter friction. In my previous video I already told you that force of friction tends to opposes any relative motion between two surfaces in contact and it acts in the tangential direction. Now, I also told you that rolling friction is much less than the sliding friction. Now, the realization that rolling friction is much less than sliding friction, it leads to the invention of wheels. Invention of wheel is one of the most important invention in the history of mankind. We know that it is easier to cart a heavy load put on the trolley with wheels than to push it. Pushing is rather difficult, and to push or pull the load on the wheels is easier. Wheels are used extensively in day-to-day life for transportation. Wheels save our labor, our energy to a great extent. Why? The reason is that it reduces friction associated with the rolling, because we know that rolling friction is much lesser than any other friction. Now children, friction plays a very important role in our day-to-day life. There are many activities which depends on the presence of frictional force. We can say that friction is a necessary evil. There are certain situations where friction is useful and necessary. In other cases, friction causes wastage of energy also. It damages the moving parts of the machinery. It is therefore harmful and an evil in such situations. Therefore, it is called as a necessary evil. Though it has advantages also and it has disadvantages also. First, we will see that where certain situations where the friction plays an important role. For example, walking on the ground. It is the friction between the ground and our feet that helps us to walk. When we walk on the ground, we push the ground. We push the ground present under our feet in the backward direction. We push the ground in the backward direction, and friction provides forward reaction, because I already told you that friction always takes place in the opposite direction. When we are pushing the ground backward, then friction will move in the forward reaction and makes us move forward. But just think over a situation. If there is no friction between our feet and the ground, we will not be able to walk. If you try walking on a wet or smooth floor, or we can say on oily floor, then we will tend to slip. The reason is the water or oil present on the floor, it provides a layer between our feet and the floor, and this layer of oil or water decreases the friction between our shoes and the ground, and our feet are no longer able to grip the floor firmly. When we lose the grip, we therefore tend to slip. Similar happens in case for rolling. The friction between the tires and the road is also necessary. The friction between the tires and wheels of our vehicles is very necessary. If there is no friction, the tires of the vehicles will go on spinning at the same place and we will not be able to move forward. If friction becomes less than the specified value, wheels can lose their grip on the road and the vehicles may then skid or it may turn. Therefore, replacement of the tires is always required. In our day-to-day activities, suppose let us see the writing. When we write with pen or pencil or on paper or with the chalk on the blackboard, friction plays a very important role over there. It holds the ink or chalk particles and make them stick to the rough surface of the paper and the blackboard. Suppose consider a situation that we are in one situation we are holding an earthen pot, and in another situation we are holding the glass tumbler. It is very easy to hold the earthen tumbler in comparison to the glass tumbler because it is the friction which enables us to hold the thing safely in our hands. Earthen pot has rough surface in comparison to the glass. If we are not able to fix a nail or screw on the wall or ties a knot or a light or matchstick, had there been no friction between the surface. But there is a disadvantages of friction too. There are 3 disadvantages. Number 1, friction consumes a useful energy available to us. We know that friction opposes any relative motion between 2 objects. And now some of the energy is wasted in overcoming the friction. Some of the energy is wasted in overcoming the friction. Now friction is also responsible. Second disadvantage is that friction is also responsible for the wear and tear of the moving parts of the machine. You must have observed the worn out step of foot over bridges, worn out soles of our old shoes. कई बार आपको शूज़ बदलने पड़ते हैं, नीचे से कहते हैं शूज़ घिस गए। कई बार आपको निशान देखते हैं आप, अंतर होता है न्यू ब्रिजेस और ओल्ड ब्रिजेस के फ्लोर्स पर. It is this friction which wears out the surfaces, rubbing against each other, and this is the only reason that moving parts of the old machines need replacement. And third disadvantage is that a significant amount of energy supplied to a machine get wasted in the form of heat energy while overcoming the force of friction. When we are coping up with the force of friction, some of the amount of energy is wasted in the form of heat energy. Friction is responsible for the wear and tear of the moving parts. Parts are often replaced due to friction, and friction also consumes a large amount of useful energy available to us. We must have seen when we strike a matchstick against a rough surface, it catches fire. When we rub our hands vigorously, especially during the winters, our hands got warm up. Why? Just because of the friction. It becomes a problem between the moving parts of a machine. Excessive heat produced due to friction can damage the moving parts of a machine. So, friction has disadvantages also. Hope children you must have understood this.